Wow, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much to Harvard for asking me to be here today. What an honor. When I found out I would be speaking in front of a delegation of 1,000 women, I got really, really excited. I thought to myself, these are my people. See, as women, I know we are capable of incredible things. We can be amazing daughters, sisters, mothers, best friends, but we can also be outstanding doctors, lawyers, CEOs, and chairwomen. But of course, things aren't always easy when we choose the latter. In fact, as women competing in serious fields, we have to be better than men at particular jobs to prove we are actually equal to them. How does that feel? We have to be better than men to prove we are equal. So many of us have experienced things like this, the hurdles of inequality that causes so many emotions inside each one of us. Before I begin, I'd like to apologize to the men in the room. Sorry if I offend anyone, that is not my intention. But I am, however, very passionate about being a woman and the need to express my journey through gender inequality. I will say, I love men. I love all of the men in my life, and luckily the men I do have in my life appreciate and respect women. But I have felt too many times the feelings of being ignored and undervalued because I am a woman. I'm going to be frank, I'm a feminist to the core. And it's not that I believe women should shave their heads bald and create men are pigs banners. No, but I do feel women are equal to men. Do you guys remember how it felt to use the word feminist before? Sure, it's kind of okay today, but just a few years ago, it was such a strong, bold statement. It almost felt extreme. But when you look at what it actually means, the definition of a feminist is a person who supports to define, establish, and achieve political, economic, personal, and social equality of the sexes. This includes seeking to establish educational and professional opportunities for men and women that are equal. Does that sound extreme? When I've asked women I know, are you a feminist? They immediately shake their heads and give me a look of disgust. They widen their eyes like, how dare you? But all it means is equality. We should all be feminist. Why has it become such a negative word that insinuates such extremism? We assume women who are feminists don't shave their legs or their armpits, and that they've abandoned any recollection of what it means to be a woman. If a woman is bold, is she less of a woman and more of a man than perhaps a woman who is delicate and soft-spoken? Is this what represents women? Do we have to be coy, delicate, maybe even in some cultures, weak? As women, we can do anything that men can do, but that takes a lot of belief. And of course, we've been conditioned to think a certain way. When I was growing up, being a man was something of huge, huge responsibility, where women were the actual responsibility. I grew up in a Middle Eastern household with 3 sisters and 1 brother. And as a girl, I was very loved, but I was also incredibly sheltered. I really rebelled, but I wasn't a tomboy. And by the way, why are we as young girls who are adventurous, daring, and bold referred to as boys? No, I was really, really girly, but I had such an inquisitive and rebellious personality. But as a girl, as a woman, we are forever perceived differently. In fact, this isn't new. This dates back to ancient civilizations. Most cultures, from ancient Romans, Arabs, Asians, and Greeks, believe sons do much more for their families than daughters do. Sons, after all, protect, work hard, earn money, spread knowledge, and carry down the family name. Not like women, who are a responsibility to marry off. In many countries, still to date, women are married off in exchange for a dowry. And many aristocratic women are sometimes forced to marry men for political reasons, while their wealth, properties, and belongings transfer to their husbands so they would own nothing. In fact, in some ancient civilizations, the preference of boys ran so deep that before 600 AD, many infant girls were buried alive, thought to be a true inconvenience to mankind. Things like this still exist in society. I mean, we aren't buried alive physically, but perhaps metaphorically. When you're not seen as an equal, are you ever really living your full life? And I'm not trying to make anyone upset, and it's not any man's fault. In fact, sometimes it's other women who feel, as women, we have a place in life and we're inferior. I get this all the time as a working mother. When I see moms in my daughter's school, they treat me like I'm that woman who decided to put her needs before her child's. She's not one of us, she's not a real mom. The truth is, some of these women would never understand the bond I have with my daughter. And sometimes having less time means making the most out of the moments you do have. And my daughter tells me everything. She also tells me when the other moms talk about me to their kids. Literally. Women I don't know. As a woman who chooses to prove that women are equal so each and every one of their daughters can feel empowered one day. What they fail to understand is that I'm not doing this for myself. This is for our future. For our future. The young girls, the young boys, all of us. But women do that sometimes. They justify why other women can't be as successful as their counterparts. Because you can either be a good mom or a working woman, but not both. I wonder if a man can be a good father and work congruently at the same time. The truth is, as a working mother, I realized if I wanted to be successful at my career and a good mom, I was going to have to make some serious sacrifices. I decided to throw everything into my family and career. And so this brings me to my story. I was honestly struggling at first. I was mommy by day, makeup artist by night, and blogger by dawn. I would many times fall asleep breastfeeding and blogging at the same time. It was a craziness that I began to appreciate because it was my craziness that I hoped was going somewhere. And as our blog started to take off and the rise of social media came into play, we saw a need for certain products in the beauty space. We asked our community what they wanted from us. The response was overwhelming. Products. They wanted a piece of us in the form of products. But of course, we didn't know how to get started. I didn't come from money, I didn't have much savings, I didn't have any celebrity, and I was living and spending everything I had to keep my blog alive. I knew we had to do something, so I asked my family for help. My sister Olya loaned me $6,000, and my sister Mona found a manufacturer to work with. Things moved slowly, and then very quickly. I found myself stepping up to become the CEO of our company, which taught me so much about being a woman in business. In the beginning, I just had so much passion and I wanted everything to be so perfect. So I had to become a tough woman. Of course, I was afraid of voicing my opinion at first because we've all heard this before. A woman who is tough is a bitch. Right? And when I finally accepted that I was going to have to be tough, I went through a period of time wanting to call myself that because that's what society told me, that because I knew what I wanted and wasn't afraid to ask for it, that that's what I was. And I became so passionate about being a bitch. So I would say in interviews, that's what I am and I own it. As if that made it okay. I wanted to own the fact that I was a badass and wasn't afraid to take risks, demand the best from people and nothing less, empower them, and above all, lead by example. And somehow, that translated to bitch. Sorry, Harvard. If a man did the same, what would we call him? We would respect him, praise him, write books about him, and say, look, this is what a leader looks like. You know, a friend of mine once told me that if you take two people, one male and one female, in the same position and you compare them, the woman would be 10 to 20 times more alpha than the female. What does that mean? What do we as women have to go through to prove that we are equal? And when I started our business, men didn't know how to speak to me. Sometimes they'd look at me, sometimes they wouldn't look at me in the eyes, sometimes they'd only stare at my breasts, and oftentimes they would flirt with me, talk down to me, but never take me seriously. I remember sitting across these long, shiny black tables telling men in suits, you need to take me seriously. Our brand is going to change the industry. These These men didn't know how to categorize me. I was tough. Bitch. I'm so sorry. They called me when I left the room. What's wrong with her? What's wrong with me because I knew what I wanted, because I was unapologetic about expecting the best for my company? But these men in suits insisted on telling me they should take over operations because I was in over my head. I was, after all, just a young girl passionately pursuing my dreams. We finally got the brand off the floor and launched with a bang, becoming one of the biggest launches in Sephora at the time. But things were not perfect. We found it difficult to manage stock. Were these men in suits right about us? Did we finally reach our dreams, but were we incapable of running our business? Then it happened. Demand peaked, but these men in suits delayed payment. We couldn't order stock. Not just for 1 month, but 8 months. I did extra gigs as a makeup artist, but it wasn't enough. We were so scared of losing everything. Finally, a lifeline. One of the men came to me and said he could solve all of our problems. He was offering us $1.5 million in exchange for 60% of the company. Was this really the answer to my problems? We were on track to do almost $2 million in sales if we could just get the stock. It was incredibly unfair. On one hand, I wanted to stand for more because I knew we deserved it. But if I didn't take it, our company could lose everything. I was confused until I heard on the other end of the phone, Huda, you need this. And don't be greedy. We're offering you a good deal. Good deal? Who was this man trying to fool? It was then I knew he never saw me or our company as an equal partner, but more as an opportunity. I said to the man on the other side of the phone, this company will make it or we will die trying. I realized I had to push forward and believe in my own capabilities. My family and I decided we were going to come together and support the business full throttle. My dad sold his house so my sisters and I could buy more inventory, and my husband quit his job and joined us full time, and we bootstrapped the business. That was in December of 2014. Exactly 3 years later, in December of 2017, we received an evaluation of $1.2 billion from the leading consumer private equity fund. And we sold a minority stake. It pays to know your worth and take a risk on yourself. I'm going to say that one more time, because it's important. It pays to know your worth and take a risk on yourself. Today, as my husband and I raise our daughter, she feels she's capable of anything. We allow her to be inexcusably herself, not because she's a female, but just as a human, equal to every other human out there, capable of magic. And the truth is, being a mom has made me a better CEO, a better leader, and a more innovative creator. And I've learned not only to appreciate the different aspects of who I am, but to embrace them and to become all of who I am. I've asked my daughter, Noor, do you want me to quit and just be Noor's mom? And she says, no, I want you to be head of beauty so that I can have my own brand one day. Do you say that, Noor?
Yeah.
I want everyone here to know that you are powerful beyond your biggest desires, and that you should all demand the best, uplift each other, and practice empowerment of all women and men. We are the daughters, the mothers, the sisters, the best friends. This message is for everyone. Thank you to all the women and men feminists in the world. May you inspire others. We should all be feminists. Sorry guys, that made me a little emotional. Thank you guys, thank you so much.